Hello friends, welcome to this new video in 11th class physics, and I am Pratik Jain, and we are going to learn this video on thermodynamics. So we are going to learn first law in thermodynamics. So let's begin. So friends, in this chapter of thermodynamics, first we should learn basic concepts like system and surrounding. So let me list down what are the important terms or terminology which are very important in this chapter. First is the system, surrounding, universe. So friends, what do you mean by system? See, in this chapter we are going to study something, and when we study something, first we need to identify that. For example, I want to study this board, so this board is a system. If I want to study a gas, so that gas is a system. So the first step is to identify the system, and everything else other than the system is surrounding. For example, for a gas which is inside a cylinder, everything else outside the gas is surrounding. The outside air is the surrounding, and all remaining things are surrounding. So this is the gas which is captured inside a cylinder, and this is the piston. So we say that this gas is a system which we are going to study, and everything else outside this gas is surrounding. This outside air is surrounding. And when you say system and surrounding together, it becomes a universe. So one thing is immediate universe, and another thing is the entire universe. But here we use a universe as a single word. System plus surrounding is a universe. So that is the first thing which we should know. The second thing, we should now we can state the first law of thermodynamics. So let's first write down first law of thermodynamics. So the first law of thermodynamics is written as the heat transferred is equal to the work done plus the change in internal energy. Heat transferred to the system, work done by the system, and change in internal energy of the system. So heat transfer Q by the system in the process 1 to 2 is equal to work done by the system in the process 1 to 2 plus the change in internal energy, that is final internal energy minus initial internal energy of the system in the process 1 to 2. So this is the first law. Now as you see, as I tried to define first law of thermodynamics, I need to use so many terms like heat transfer, work transfer, change in internal energy, process, state 1 to state 2. So before I go explaining you first law in thermodynamics, first we should learn what is heat transfer, what is work transfer, what is internal energy, what is a process, and what is a state. So let's start those things first, and then again we will come back to this first law, and that time we will be better able to understand this first law. So first let us start with heat. And before that, let's first write down all the terms which we are going to discuss now. So first is heat, and second is work, and third is internal energy, and fourth is process, and fifth is state, and sixth is properties. In fact, we are going to do these things in the reverse order as I have written. Like first we will study what are the properties of system. So let's start with properties. So properties of the system. properties of the system. Now when I usually explain this to my students, I used to give an example of a human being. When you see the face of a human being, what are the properties of the face of the human being? So a human being has eyes, it has ears, and it has lips and all those things. And how do you define a particular face of the human being? So particular state of the human being, state of the face is defined by the properties of the face. For example, one of the property of the face is the size of the eyes. What is the size of the nose? What is the size of the ears? Once you tell that this is the size of the eye and this is the size of the nose and this is the size of the ears, you tell that yes, this face is in a particular state. And if you change any of this property, for example, you make the size of the eyes bigger, or you make the size of the nose change, or if you change the size of the ears, immediately the face will change. And if the face changes, the state of the face changes. Maybe it's a smiling face and it becomes it's become a crying face. So it all depends on these properties. So these are the properties which we are talking, which are going to decide the state of the face. That means the property decides the state of the system. If you change the properties, the state of the system will change. So in this manner, now we are able to understand what is the property, and also we are able to understand what is the state of the system. State of the system. Properties are those things, those variables which are going to decide the state of the system. And now what are the properties that we should know? Let us list down the properties of a thermodynamic system. We are talking about a thermodynamic system. And as you can recall, what was a system? A system is something which we are going to study. For example, a gas or a liquid. So a thermodynamic system has following properties. Very important properties. First is pressure. Second is volume. Third is temperature. These are the three most important properties which decide the system of the state of the system. And when you fix this property, what is the value of the pressure of the system? How much pressure the gas has? How much volume the gas has occupied? What is the temperature of the gas? Once you fix these properties, then you fix the state of the system. So we are clear with the properties and we are clear with the state. And now I am going to discuss the process. So let's study the process of the system. What is a process? So here also process a system undergoes. So here also I give a very funny example of a human being. When, for example, a human being has come with a certain face. A boy has come with a certain face. Suppose maybe he is smiling, okay. And when the boy comes and you hit the boy, suddenly what happens? That the boy who was smiling, he starts crying. And now what do you see? What has happened actually? By hitting the boy, you have actually changed the state of the face of the boy. The boy was smiling, and when you hit the boy, you have done something to the boy which made the properties of the boy to change. The size of the nose got changed, the size of the eyes got changed, the size of the lips got changed. So in this way you have changed the state of the face of the boy. So same way, if you have a gas in a piston, inside a cylinder, and suppose it is having some pressure, it is having some volume, it is having some temperature, the gas having certain pressure, certain volume which it occupies here, and certain temperature, and suppose you heat the gas, you are doing some process on the gas, like if you have hit the boy, you are heating the gas, then what will happen? The pressure of the gas will change, the gas will expand, so volume of the gas will change, the temperature of the gas may increase, and when it happens, the pressure which was P1, V1, T1 has now become the pressure P2, V2 and T2. So basically the state of the gas has changed from P1, V1, T1 to P2, V2, T2. The state has changed from state 1 to state 2. The properties have changed from properties P1, V1, T1 to properties P2, V2, T2. So what is the ultimate thing which we learned here? We learned that when you do some process on the system, basically the state of the system is changing. So here we define the process that it is nothing but the change of the state of the system, change of the state of the system. And how do you change the state? In thermodynamics, you can change the state only by two ways. You can do only two things to a system. Either you can give the heat to the system, or you can take the heat from the system. So either you can give the heat to the system or you can take the heat from the system. Either you can do the work on system or you can take the work from the system. How do you work on the system? When you try to compress the system, you are doing work on the system. When you are trying to expand the system and system is expanding itself, then basically the system is doing work on the surroundings. When you give the heat to the system, you are heating the system, you are giving the heat to the system. When system is releasing the heat to the surrounding, the heat is given by the system. So basically, by doing the heat and work interaction between system and surrounding, you are changing the state of the system, and this change of the system is called as the process undergone by system.